Good morning, church. It's good to be with you today. And today we are going to look at a couple chapters out of Daniel that really compare and contrast what it is to trust God and to set up an arrogant face in front of him instead of submit to him. So we have Nebuchadnezzar. He's built a golden statue after Daniel has told him that he is the golden head, the kind of the premier emperor of all the earth. So he builds a 90-foot gold statue and says everybody has to worship it. Well, his three top servants, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, refuse to do it. And we're so familiar with this story, they get thrown in to the fire. But their words are just amazing to me as Nebuchadnezzar is questioning them. They say, Nebuchadnezzar, we don't need to give you an answer to this question of if they would worship and bow down. If the God we serve exists, then he can rescue us from the furnace of blazing fire, and he can rescue us from the power of you, the king. But even if he does not rescue us, we want you as king to know that we will not serve your God or worship the gold statue you set up. This is really in line with the book of Job, when Job's family perishes and his wife is encouraging him to curse God. And one of Job's lines is, though he slay me, still I will trust in him. Will we trust God even when these kinds of terrible circumstances come? Do we really believe that his power is great enough to save and to redeem us so that there was not even the smell of fire on them? Can he bring us out untainted from the time of trial? Or though he slay us, will we still trust in him? Or are we going to be like Nebuchadnezzar in chapter 4 when he looks out at his magnificent kingdom and he says, is this not all made for me? Now, chapter 4 is interesting, right? Because it's written as a letter that Nebuchadnezzar wrote out into his community, and God executes judgment upon him, showing us again that God is indeed the supreme ruler of all kings, of all nations, that everybody serves at the pleasure of the Lord our God. And so our job is to be at our Lord's feet, humbling ourselves, serving in his power and his strength, understanding that we will not exalt ourselves. Because the problem that we see over and over again with these vicious kings or images in Revelation 17 is this arrogant pride of being set up against God, of pushing against him and saying, we want to do things in our way. We want to be God. It's a challenge to the throne of God. And so we come to see the prostitute seated on the beast with the 7 heads and the 10 horns. And in Revelation 17, we finally get an illustration of what all these things are, but I confess it's not really that helpful. A lot of the interpreters think that this is a glimpse of the Roman kingdom, and the kingdom of Rome existed, will not exist, and perhaps will come then to exist again, and we'll have this reign of kings, and you can maybe mark down the line of Caesars with this, and that there will ultimately come up one who will take up that ultimate role of the Antichrist. However you would look at that to interpret that, the reality is that we are to be faithful and that we are to stand firm. And isn't it interesting that all of our interpretations are all coming back to that same point? The world around us will set itself at odds with Christ, will go to war with him, will assault his people, even overcoming them physically for a time. But our task is always to stand firm, to overcome through the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony, to hold fast to God, just as Daniel did, just as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did, so is it our task to cling to the Lord our God. And so again, we, at the start of Revelation, talked about there's a lot of ways we can interpret the words that we see here, but they should always be driving us into this reminder. Bad times are coming. Our Lord conquers. We trust in him to get us through to the end.